Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Full Dive Gaming Podcast, bringing a weekly dive of all the news, all the discussion, and all of the condensed nerd talk you need for virtual reality gaming every Friday. I'm Rip McAfee, producer and editor of this podcast.
I'm Jay Brat. I think Rip forgot to have a beer before the podcast tonight because he just got through that opening line so well.
You know what? You know what?
We said last night after the technical problems we were going to be at the same emotional level tonight.
I'm halfway there.
One beer. You're supposed to be here. Adam, talk.
I did grab the rock star. I did grab the rock star.
I can't even introduce myself this time. What the heck?
This is going
Destiny, you might as well go ahead. I'm Adam Charlton, a software developer and who thinks that toilet paper should be under, not over.
Oh my, I know you're just saying that to make me mad. There's no way you actually do it.
No, I honestly believe it, and here's why. My life was totally changed when my 1-year-old ran into the bathroom and just starts spinning the toilet paper as fast as you can. Because if you do it over, then you just wind up with a pile of toilet paper. But if it's under, it just wraps around and around and around. It's brilliant. Under is definitely the way to go if you have pets or kids.
I heard that people who put it under end up with more refuse on the wall around the toilet. So, but that's fine. That's fine. You believe what you want to believe. Disgusting.
And I'm Destiny Wheeler, entrepreneur and VR enthusiast.
So,
who also believes over.
Under's the way to go, I'm telling you.
You are riding a thin line here, buddy.
Destiny, do you have kids? I forget.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you? But you're not on his side. No. Okay.
No, I don't know why.
That's a good point. I can see that, and
if you have kids that don't behave like animals, you don't have to worry about it.
My cat was literally hanging off the toilet paper the other day, so it does happen. It hasn't been that big of an issue. We're a family of over.
A family of over,
like a feral dog or something, Jay.
I mean,
okay. So we're here. We're gonna finish this. Every single commercial toilet paper dispenser that is built a specific way. What way is it built? Over, because over is the right way. None of them are built under because it doesn't make any sense. You can't reach it. It's hidden. You get crap on the wall because you're reaching behind trying to find it. It's unsafe. It's unsanitary. You are wrong. Moving on.
The commercial ways you can't spin them like you can in like a home-based toilet paper dispenser.
I'm done with toilet paper discussion. Rip, what's going on?
Yeah, but before we
tell our news pieces about Facebook, we'll need plenty of toilet paper for that discussion.
Oh, jeez. Okay. For those that haven't picked up already, we are in VR, and therefore we are making all sorts of rude hand gestures at each other. If you want to see those rude hand gestures, I'm sure you're just itching to see them. Come see us in VR. We are interacting as if we were really together in one room. So check out the YouTube channel, and you can see us and our lovely, well, written here is our lovely virtual faces, but at this point it's more of our rude gestures. We run this podcast in 4 sections. First, a Q&A section from our Discord and Patreon community. Lots of fun to be had there. Second, a VR gaming news section. Third, we'll be talking about our experiences with some of the new VR games to come out. Fourth, we'll be running a discussion that changes week to week. Last week, we were talking about what is Facebook doing in VR? Great discussion. But this week, we got... Is VR finally approachable? It's a huge topic to me, I imagine to everyone here at the podcast, because that's, when VR becomes approachable, that's when it can become big. So are we ready for it to become big is sort of another way to put that. We're going to go into the Q&A here. We've technically answered these questions because this is technically our second time trying to record this darn podcast. Yesterday,
we've answered half of them.
Yeah. Yesterday we had some... just all sorts of great technical issues, and at some point we were like, okay, some of our hosts here need to sleep. So we went ahead and canceled it, did a rain check, and we are recording today, so some of you in the live stream are like, oh, they're just going over old stuff, and you'll just have to put up with it. All right.
Way to antagonize our viewers. Suck it up, viewers.
We're just all ready to fight tonight, apparently.
Oh my goodness.
The question that Rumbo asked last night was asked already. We're saying it again. Is there any noticeable health effects VR has had on you guys, either good or bad? Now, for me, Adam, since lockdown has happened, I have really not had a lot of social interaction with people, and VR has helped me see people and see the world like I wanted to before. What's your answer to the question?
Jay, I hate you.
What is this?
It's like you can
No,
read minds.
Jay read almost word for word. He must have recorded it or something. Word for word what I answered last time for this.
What's your answer now? That's my answer, so you got to come up with a new one.
You gotta say what he said.
Well, I gotta say, playing a lot of games like Beat Saber, I'm definitely a Beat Saber fanatic. It's really good on the cardiovascular health. It really helps me stay in shape when I can't go outside.
I totally agree. Good answer.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
They're
man.
just swapping answers for those that aren't clued in.
Yeah, that was almost identical. But and then for me, I pretty much agreed with these two. Definitely
Yeah.
cardio. But I think the worst health aspect that I've noticed is the motion sickness.
Mm.
What about you, Brett?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I just agreed with these three people last time. I don't
Yeah, I
remember
think
what
it-
my answer was, to be honest.
He was blacked
Yeah.
out during this part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
I
a
don't
rough
remember
day.
any of
I
it.
was like, yeah, I was out of it last night. So I'm just like, wow, this is all fresh to me. Even though I was here in VR.
I didn't get it.
But yeah, I mean, what they said is so on the mark. Coronavirus has made our mental health a lot better due to VR. We can actually interact with other people in a way that's more meaningful than just like an online phone call or even a video call. And in general, it just sort of keeps you active in a way that's sitting at a desk and playing, I don't know, whatever games you want to play, Fortnite or Fall Guys. You can do something more interesting.
All right, so I'll take the next question. Our next question is from Commander Nexian, who says, in a hypothetical future where COVID never goes away and humans have to limit face-to-face interaction as much as possible, do you believe that virtual reality social hubs such as VR chat could become common tool for businesses and classrooms? Now, we did discuss this a bit yesterday, but I think that it already is becoming that way. With coronavirus right now, businesses are already transitioning to solely online, and they're incorporating VR more and more into business and meetups and things like that. I think that even without a horrible, horrible future where COVID never goes away, that we will already get to that point where businesses primarily meet online, and using VR is a great way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes for great training. VR training is like, it can be exactly what the company wants. You can learn exactly the right things. You can interact with machines or anything that your job does like it's the real thing instead of just clicking on a computer through training. It's way more interactive. And I talked about this last night, but I'll say it again because my feelings are still hurt. I once said that I thought with all this COVID going on, that it would make a lot of sense for classes to go to virtual reality, at least partially subsidize what's there or replace them altogether. And I got so much hate on Reddit on a virtual reality sub. The people were like, you're wrong. That could never happen. There could never replace schools with VR. What are you thinking? And like, people seriously downvoted me to crap. So I was pretty shocked by that because I thought most of us VR enthusiasts would like love to see the medium go in a direction besides just gaming. And man, apparently those people just wanted it to be gaming and nothing else.
You see, and I really don't
Yeah, it's so
understand that
weird.
because, yeah, there's already studies that show that using VR for education and training already improves comprehension. I read this study about surgeons. You kind of want surgeons to be well trained using traditional methods like textbooks and professors, or using the VR simulation. And the VR guys, like 2 to 3 times better comprehension. I really want a surgeon trained by VR.
Yeah.
I played Surgeon
Right.
Simulator and I feel ready to operate on somebody after that.
Jay, stay far away from me when I get surgery.
I want a Potato VR in the stream chat mentions Rec Room employees actually hold VR meetings for all their meetings. So it is a thing
In Rec
now.
Room.
Of course, they are making a VR game, one of the most
Well,
popular.
way to believe in the product.
Yeah, exactly. But if like for those that are like listening to this and going like, the question is really, when is it becoming a common tool? Because it is a tool. There are companies that use this. Potato VR made a good example, but there are plenty of companies that aren't making VR stuff that are using VR. So it is a thing. Whether it is a common thing is just your definition of common at this point.
Right.
It's getting there.
Yeah, especially if they're using ones that are wireless, like the Quest, and I mean, then they can just pick up and take it from place to place to do their training.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Or the new Apple headset. Hint, hint, spoiler. Wait for the new section.
Yeah. All right, Destiny, you got the next one.
All right, so this one's from Starsight. He says, "What's the funniest thing that has happened to you in VR that made you laugh?" I think my funniest moments have definitely happened in Pavlov, which is one of the things that I love most about that game. Like, it's just so freaking funny. But so I think it's like my second time playing. I think it was the triple team or the triple team mode. There was this dude who said that he wanted to play, what is that game, Simon Says or whatever. So like everybody agreed and it was great. Like everybody lined up and I don't know, we just went throughout the whole entire thing. Like it was fun.
That does sound fun. I've been told we need to play some Simon Says, so I want to do that. I played, for those of you who don't know out there, Rec Room, it's a social game. You're hanging out with people. You can move around your arms and hands. Well, your hands can move around the 3D space. One of the games in it is called 3D Charades, but it's really Pictionary basically, but you can build in a 3D zone instead of just writing on a board. Well, a bunch of us were in there, and this guy, Will, he draws this shaft of some sort because we're supposed to be guessing what he's drawing, and he grabs it and just shoves it into his mouth like it's a foot-long hot dog he's trying to eat in one bite. I was laughing so hard. I actually have footage. Maybe if Rip wants it, I'll send a clip for this, but he just shoves it in there, and then I'm laughing so hard I can't even breathe for the rest of this thing. He finishes his round and he comes back next to me and he's like, "It was a flute." That's not how you play a flute. Like,
I remember that.
Crammed it down his throat. Oh, it was amazing. I've never laughed so hard.
That's great.
It's not how you play the flute.
So my funny moment is actually also in Pavlov. Pavlov is an incredible game just for goofing off.
Yeah, it really is. It's really funny.
Right? You wouldn't think it because it's supposed to be like this really, high pressure shooter similar to CS:GO, but no. Like the match I was in, so Pavlov actually scales your in-game character based on how tall you are. And there was this guy, IRL, he must have been 7 foot. He was enormous, and he would run around the map with 2 dual-wielding double-barrel shotguns.
Oh my god.
And so I'm chasing this guy. I'm stalking him. I see him run around the corner, and you can kind of hear guys until they die. And I just hear, he runs around the corner, and I just hear, ah! And around the corner just comes this giant Goliath, man. And it's terrifying. And so I start running and get blown away. It was by far the funniest moments ever happened to me.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good. That's especially with like, I can imagine that, like, I don't play a lot of Pavlov, but Onward has the same thing where people scale. It's kind of funny to see like the differences in people,
right?
Especially with all the new kids.
And you're tall.
He's tall.
Like,
yeah, I'm pretty tall, and this guy was like an easy foot above me.
Destiny,
like,
everyone's tall to you.
Yeah, I was like,
if you're saying it's tall, then that's pretty bad.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm exactly average height, so I'm just like looking around, like, are you below or above average? And with all the new kids and Onward, they you have to make sure you manually set your height if you go below a certain size, because otherwise it'll always think you're crouching. So with all these new kids, they're like constantly like moving so slowly, like, why can't I go faster? And as much as I'd like to say that's my funniest moment, I was gonna go with just like, I've always gotten a crack out of the when you meet the Vortigaunt in Half-Life Alyx. Sorry, spoilers.
Oh yeah.
that whole scene just had me cracking up.
Yeah.
But you've reminded me now with all the Pavlov stuff. There was this it's more fun in retrospect, I think, that or it's just me being awful. I was playing with a bunch of younger people. They weren't like that young, but they were like probably young adults. And we were playing co-op, and I was trying to take it seriously. They were not, or at least most of them. Like, one of them was like kind of middle ground, and one of them really was just like messing around. And he started using a pistol and getting himself killed over and over. And I got like fed up with it. I was like, if anyone uses the pistol next round, I'm going to shoot them. Round starts. I see him just going for his pistol and just pop him right there. No hesitation. And everyone just turns around and looks at me and like point towards them like, anyone else using their pistol? They're like, nope.
You're like, well, I warned you.
Yeah, stay in line.
You can't play Pablo with me. I'm just gonna like screw around the whole time.
We learned that.
Shooter games are fun like that.
Yeah, Pavlov is so
Sit around
much
and
fun
knife
to screw
everybody.
around. I'd love to play Pavlov with you at some point, Destiny. We
I
both
know,
love
we
Pavlov.
have
I'm surprised
to.
we haven't yet.
Like, since I have the link, can we play crossplay?
Yeah, I think we can, as long as you have like the PC version. I think maybe.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
I
know.
know I played it with them too, and it worked.
Oh really? Oh,
Mhm.
you played Pavlov with them and not me?
That's
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. I think they were missing that night. I don't know.
It was early on. It was way back.
Yeah,
when.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was
it was a
early
while
on in the
ago.
podcast. Okay,
Yeah, what to do it again?
I'm gonna move us on for the news segment, but first, this news. Oh, my hands aren't moving again. There we go. But first, this week's news segment is brought to you by Asterion. Does your VR headset still live in a cardboard box? I know it does, because every person I talk to that hasn't gotten what we're about to sell you here, I guess, usually has their headset in like the packaging or on the floor. And I know you're one of those people. You can't fool me. So
Way to antagonize our viewers again, Rip.
every guest we've brought on, except for Commander Nexion, who had like picked one of these up on our recommendation, has not properly taken care of their headset. And we really believe you should. Your VR headset is expensive, and it's a nice piece of gear. It should have both a stand that, you know, treats it nicely and looks good in your living room. And that's this VR stand, which I will now finally say is the Aura VR. Oh wait, were we supposed to say a different product for this one?
No. The outline is right. Don't worry about this.
Okay.
Keep going. You're doing great. You're doing great.
I just remembered that. So the Aura VR stand, guys, this thing is compatible with everything. Whatever headset you have, it'll work for it. Super great. It has RGB lighting. It's like this glass panel thing, and it looks so cool. I'm gonna have a picture down. Just look this thing up. It looks gorgeous. And it's got a USB port. Just because you can't have any, you can't run out of benefits with this thing. So
Yeah,
super
for real,
cool.
guys, that's good.
Yeah, we're pretty happy to recommend this. So if you want your Aura VR, my hands stop moving. I think it's because I accidentally like touch my desk, which touches or moves my mouse, and whenever my mouse moves, it stops moving my hands. So there's just gonna be a
VR
lot
problems.
of that. VR problems. So if you guys want your Aura VR stand, go over to AsterianProducts.com. Use the code FULLDIVE, FULLDIVE, to get $5 off any order, $19.99 or over. We very easily recommend it. We would be recommending the stand regardless of the sponsorship that's happening. It's so great, guys.
Yeah, no contest recommendation.
Yeah. And now we can start with the news. Jake, my hands. Okay, now they're not.
Don't worry
working.
about your
Okay,
hands.
there we go.
We'll talk about the news. Oculus Connect 7, the event where we hear from Oculus every year. They announce new stuff. They tell us new stuff. Is canceled. Actually, no, it's not canceled, but it's now called Facebook Connect instead of Oculus Connect 7. It's Facebook Connect. Last week, we went on a huge, crazy rant about Facebook's sudden shift in its ownership and management of Oculus. So if you want to hear the full thing in depth, go check out last week's episode. But now they're saying the company said in their blog post, Connect has grown to include so much more than Oculus. With research updates and product news from Spark AR to Facebook Horizon, moving forward, our annual AR VR event will be called Facebook Connect to better reflect its broader scope. Yeah, that's their
Wow.
quote. That's their whole idea. They're just scrubbing the word Oculus, it seems like. But okay, it's gonna happen as normal. It's just gonna have a new name, but it's gonna be virtual because of COVID. So it's gonna be free and open to the public for the first time ever. Everyone can attend virtually. They're also, while they're at it, they were like, hey, we're going to change the name of our AR VR team to Facebook Reality Labs too, because, you know, why not mess up everything with the name Oculus on it? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oculus is dead, long live Facebook.
I feel like the next
Do it,
headset
but-
is going to be the Facebook Quest. It's not going to,
No.
that's
what I
not
was gonna
substantial.
say.
Absolutely.
but it seems
Yeah,
like it.
Oculus is gonna be gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really creepy.
Yeah, chat's not crazy about it either.
No
Good
one
on you,
is.
chat.
No one is. This is our
I know
new
it's
life all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Because our viewers are beautiful, intelligent people who agree with us.
right.
These are all facts. Are you guys gonna attend? It's virtual. I mean, we could all go
Yeah.
virtually.
Yeah,
We'll
I mean,
go, so our viewers don't have to.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is dumb. I mean, we'll attend. I mean, we can attend, and as trying to be on the forefront of the industry as we are, we'll probably go. But man, I hate doing anything that supports them at this point because they're making it real hard for us to like them, one step at a time.
Hopefully, they'll change our minds. There's some positive news this week, right, Adam? You got something good to tell us about.
Yes, there is. We do have some interesting news. Project Cars 3 releases today, August 27th.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Yeah, for real.
I hadn't paid
You
attention
thinking
to the
about
date.
picking it up?
Oh yeah.
So it's released right now. If you have any interest in Project Cars 3, go ahead and pick it up. I've been watching some gameplay footage of it today, and it looks really good. So there's really two types of racing games. There's like the NASCAR style racing games that I have some family that's super into, and this is more street racing. So it's fast paced, lots of tight corners. It looks like a ton of fun.
Right. But it's still, for those that are like, well, is this like an arcadey game or is this like a sim game? The nice thing about Project Cars is it's always tried to find like kind of the happiest middle ground where they will be trying to create these street cars to like the utmost detail. So a lot of fun if you're into that sort of thing. But it's also easily approachable if you just want to play on like your Xbox controller or whatever.
Yeah, it looks really good if you're into sim racing or just racing in general. Highly recommend picking it up.
I will be picking this up probably after this podcast so that I can download it and play it tomorrow.
I want to hear about it. I'm on the verge. I haven't had enough car games on the PC yet, so I'm on the verge. But I kind of want to hear. Tell me by the weekend how you feel about it.
I will do that.
Right.
You don't want to wait till the podcast and then I can tell everyone all at once?
But I want to be able to talk with you about it on the podcast if it's a recommend. Like, I
Oh,
want us to
like
be able to have a little back
I
and
see.
forth.
Gotcha,
I'll
gotcha.
pick it up too. If you like it, I'll pick it up.
Destiny, you gonna
If
get in
like
on this
it,
with
I
us?
will not pick it up.
Come
I
on.
might, but I still need to get the God, I can't even think of the name of it now. The
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
No, I don't.
don't.
Yes, the
A
kayak
steering wheel?
game.
Oh, Phantom
Oh, yeah.
Phantom Ops. Yeah, I've been actually meaning to
Isn't it-
continue that
yeah, it's
game.
Phantom Ops, right?
Yeah, Phantom Ops.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like there's still a few others that are pretty high on the list, but maybe if y'all really like it, I'll try it out because I think that's one thing that I still haven't tried in VR is any kind of car game.
Yeah, I feel like you have to try at least one. And this might be a good one to try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Let me
We'll
know.
have a four-person drag race.
I'll be the first. I'll drop in first. See if the water's nice and warm, and if the water's nice and warm, I'll tell everyone to get in.
There you go.
Sounds good. All right, Rip, what do you got for us next?
Oh, I'm so excited for this one. This was released like today, like 4 hours ago today, and we just dropped this into the script because I am so hyped. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, a VR experience made by Respawn Entertainment. Same people who made Titanfall, made what else did they make?
Apex Legends.
Apex Legends, and one other that I can't remember. But those are the big ones.
The other Titanfall.
And the other Titanfall, yeah. So those guys, the big AAA company that they are making a proper VR game. I will verbatim what they said on EA's website here. Above and Beyond, or Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, is an action-packed and incredibly immersive VR experience set in World War II, where you step into the boots of an agent of the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, in war-torn Europe. A deep single-player campaign takes you through historic events on land, air, sea, sabotaging Nazi bases, subverting enemy plans, aiding the French resistance, and much, much more. P.S. While the details are still classified as top secret, we're excited to let you know that Medal of Honor Above and Beyond also includes multiplayer. Which is perhaps the thing I'm most excited for, but the campaign also sounds pretty cool. I mean, these guys, I mean, if anyone who's played the Titanfall 2 campaign knows that these guys can make a good campaign.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen it happen. So I'm super excited to see what they're doing here. Oh, and I actually heard, I came across this first because I was just on Reddit. It wasn't even like a Reddit post about this. It was about something else. And someone went, oh, I'm so, like they tied in Medal of Honor. And then the dev for one of the devs at Respawn replied to this guy. It was relating to PvP. The guy was asking, like, will PvP be a thing? And the dev responded saying, I cannot wait to talk to you guys about this. But so they aren't, obviously, just as the press release here indicates, all they can say is that there is multiplayer. But clearly, they are really hyped to announce this stuff, which just makes me more excited because I'm like, I cannot wait to see what these guys do. These guys have one of the best multiplayer games in general. The Titanfall was just a masterpiece, in my opinion. So, I'm so excited. All right, I'm gonna shut up now because otherwise I'll keep going. I feel like that's always these pieces.
Multiplayer, is it co-op missions? Is it part of the campaign, or is it just versus? What's been the history with Medal of Honor?
So Medal of Honor.
I've never played any of them.
Okay, so Adam here, before we got started, Adam here said it was like Call of Duty, and I got
it's Call of Duty, but not Call of Duty.
And I got mad at him, but
not.
Unfortunately, he's not wrong in the sense that usually these games follow the general progression of most FPS games, where you have like a full campaign where you don't have any multiplayer. It's just you and a storyline, and you go through it and you shoot people and you have fun. And then the multiplayer is usually I'm guessing here, but based off previous Medal of Honor games, well, you've had a lot of sort of different ones. Usually Medal of Honor isn't like large scale like Battlefield, but usually it's also a little bit more, hasn't to say tactical or even strategic, but it definitely requires a bit more like, I guess tactical.
It's a bit slower.
It's
slower
definitely
than Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's absolutely slower than Call of Duty. Like, if anyone that played the last Medal of Honor forever ago, I actually really liked that one. It was like, small maps like Call of Duty, but it played a little bit slower. Not that Battlefield's slow, but like slow like that, where you have to like think about your objectives and where you're moving. And dying in that game is a little more impactful, which is like my bread and butter. So that makes me even more excited.
So it's not quite, Pavlov to Onward. It's more of like a Pavlov to like a Contractors, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That sort of feels like, if you got Pavlov, which is like pretty, it feels kind of arcadey, Call of Duty-esque, and then Contractors is a good sort of middle ground. That's where Medal of Honor lies, if you're familiar with these VR games.
Right.
Does it have like the typical game modes, like the diffuse and things like that with the bomb, like A and B site?
Yeah,
it had the typical game modes, but again, this is pretty brand new. This is the first time Respawn is picking up a Medal of Honor game, and this is the first time they're doing it in VR. So who knows what can be coming? I personally hope that they just completely bring a whole new take to it and just blow us out of the water with innovation. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's nothing like what we have currently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be cool to see more FPS games like that.
Yeah, and we need, like, as great as Contractors and Pavlov and all these games have been, like I'm watching Onward here and all of its like development issues it's having right now with its 1.7 or no 1.8 update. And every time I read that, I was just like, man, if only these guys were a big company that could handle a VR FPS right. And these guys, they have the resources, they have the manpower, they have every reason for this to be the VR shooter.
I hope so. And
yeah.
It sparks me. Actually, the thing I got most excited about was the single player campaign, which is funny. But I just feel like we already have all these multiplayer shooters, and I'm trying to think like what game has had a really great single player campaign that's a shooter. And
Arizona Sunshine.
Alex?
Well, but I mean like a military type shooter kind of game. Like, I just feel like we haven't had any of that. It's all just these multiplayer games. And like for people out there who have crap internet who can't play these hardcore games, like what do they get? I'm excited about a single player campaign that you actually sabotage stuff and do stuff. That sounds exciting to me.
And it sounds like they're putting a lot of effort into that. So people like you will be satisfied.
Good.
All right.
Well, in other news, PSVR fans, this is only for you. Iron Man VR, our exclusive, amazing superhero game that only us PSVR owners get to play.
Oh, stop rubbing it in.
Which launched last month, has received a free update with improvements ranging from new weapons, game modes, skins, and faster loading times, which was really the thing we all wanted the most. So if you've already beat the game, you're going to have access to a new Game Plus mode, which allows you to start the game again with all the previous upgrades you've earned, making it easier, of course, to go on to the harder difficulties. But it also adds a new ultimate difficulty that's even harder than the previous high difficulty of Invincible. You get to go forward with 4 new weapons as well. No spoilers here about what they are, but this game already had a pretty big array of weapons. I'm really excited they're adding more. They're adding it so fast and it's free. Like, this is all fantastic news. I know none of you have a PSVR, but how do you feel about all that?
I mean, I hate it.
It's hard for me to feel any emotion given that I am so far away from PSVR.
Yeah. I mean,
no, like, it's honestly, it's one of those good things where it's a free update, you know? It's like you can't go wrong with free updates. I love seeing these companies, not just, especially big companies. Early on in VR, there's this tendency for people making VR games to like make it and then drop it. And it's really good to see added support for these big title games. It shows that, you know, hey, VR gaming, it's really becoming a big deal. It's really becoming professional. I love to see it.
Yeah, it means they made money, and now they want more money, which is a good thing. The VR industry needs money flowing through it right now. Yeah, I'm pretty much on board with Adam. Like, I can't play it, therefore I'm not happy about that. I'd rather it not be an exclusive, but I'm still just, you know, progression in the VR industry.
Happy for them.
Yeah, happy for them. And
good for you, Jay.
Yeah, everyone here on the podcast will always be excited about any progression in that, regardless of the exclusivity.
Yeah.
Destiny, you've said you haven't been excited about Iron Man VR before. Does this make you at all any more excited? Would you still want to try it if it came to PC?
No.
No, all right.
It's not my thing, but again, it's cool. I'm glad everybody else is, you know, stoked about it, and it is really nice to see some big names, stuff like that, come into VR.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all play it for you.
Yeah, just Jay this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how it is.
Maybe when the PlayStation 5
happened.
releases, I'll get a PSVR and then I'll try all these exclusives and give them terrible reviews so that they stop being exclusive.
We'll see.
Genius plan.
All right, Adam.
Yeah, so last week we talked about Apple patenting a new boundary system for VR, and this week Apple's back at it again with some more exciting VR news. They recently purchased a VR startup, Spaces, a company that specializes in virtual VR meetings. And one of their biggest claim to fame is that the user would actually take a selfie, and Spaces, the startup, would take that selfie and the picture of the user and construct a virtual avatar for them.
Mm-hmm.
What?
And
yeah,
so it would sync up
cool.
with things like, it would sync up with things like Zoom or with, Skype. And so you could actually be giving presentations fully within VR using an avatar that looks pretty like you. And so the fact that Apple has purchased this company kind of is showing where they might be heading with this.
Mm-hmm.
So this startup was specifically a business-focused startup, but they could use this technology for gaming and consumer-level stuff too. It's just another indication that the Apple VR headset is well on its way.
Have we seen these avatars, though? I haven't seen pictures. Are these things really that good? Because I feel like even 2D programs can't get that right. You like take a picture of yourself and it's supposed to make it into a 2D avatar and it's terrible. So have we seen any pictures of these yet?
I've looked into it prepping for this podcast. They look all right. They're like Rec Room level accuracy.
Okay.
They're not hyper detailed stuff, but it's like Rec Room level, kind of blocky, but I mean, hey, it gets all the major features about you, you know? And even though it's a little blocky, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. I was imagining like GoldenEye 64 heads. like they just took 5 pictures and just slapped it into a face. I was picturing that.
Yeah, we'll see if they can topple the big two, that being Rec Room and VR chat with whatever they're planning. But
Alt
yeah,
space.
alt space. It's yeah. So seeing Apple, we're all both very excited and totally like we have no idea what Apple's doing here because well, okay, Apple either does one of two things. Either A, they do something totally new and different, or B, they completely copy someone else, and then put an Apple logo on it.
What is their usual MO there? I feel like they're gonna completely copy someone else, but they're gonna rebrand it and they're gonna make it more user friendly, and then act like it was something they invented,
Yep.
and everyone's just gonna eat it up.
Apple.
No,
And then they're
here's
gonna
why
get
I'm
mad because they're not getting more money.
I'm looking forward to the BuzzFeed video on it.
Here's why I'm terrified about Apple coming in. I'm actually not very excited because Apple likes to be very exclusive.
Oh yeah.
And so look at us right now. We're sitting here with an Oculus Quest, a Rift, a Vive, an Index, and we're all just hanging out together. Once Apple starts coming in, they don't like to play well with others. They're going to make their own thing, only Apple all the time. And that is not what the VR community needs. And Facebook is starting to do that too. And honestly, it's going to start becoming so segregated off that if you want, just like the consoles, were for a while, if all of your friends had a PlayStation, you got to get a PlayStation. And with how expensive VR headsets are, you can't afford to have a headset on each platform. And so seeing these platforms start to divvy up is not great news. I don't like seeing it. And Apple, I don't know. Destiny?
No, I mean, exactly. Like, that's one of my biggest beefs with people are already totally bummed that there's not more crossplay. So to be doing that, it's just making it worse. And it's funny because the other day, remember we were joking about now the Index is going to be like the go-to headset. I made a meme about that, about the whole Facebook and Apple thing. It's like, okay, well, doing an Index now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to support these companies.
Very sad.
I mean, the thing about it is that Apple's never really been, like, obviously they've got Apple games on their phones and they're all mobile. So they have obviously a big presence in the gaming industry, but it's very separated from the AAA, like, console and PC sort of market, right? That there's some overlap, but in general they're a little different. And
that's why, they might even just avoid the consumer market altogether then. If they're not focused on gaming, go straight for business. This startup is solely a business-focused startup.
Right.
So maybe they just drop consumer altogether and start selling to the companies who have the money to throw around for like a $2,000 headset.
Now, I don't quite think that's the case, because as someone who's in media and just sees every little mistake that Apple makes, very purposeful mistakes, like gluing fans to their motherboards mistakes, they have never really been great for pro business. They're always like the middle ground, but mostly just accessible. My guess is that this is going to be, they keep expanding on their consumer line of nice, accessible things that work within the Apple ecosystem. And that's what I think this is. I think this is going to be an extension of their Apple Watch, their iPhones, all of that jazz. And it's going to be a headset that's going to be kind of like, I'm going to guess it's going to be similar to a Quest, but in the Apple ecosystem. So you're going to see maybe some Apple VR games that are going to be very lightweight, but mostly this thing will work. I imagine it's going to almost go more after the Microsoft HoloLens than anything else. My guess is they're trying to beat HoloLens to the punch of creating the headset that everyone has, not gamers. That's my guess.
And Apple is the company to do it, honestly. Like once we were talking before, and maybe I think our discussion about the sort of next big steps for VR becoming accessible, Apple's really the company to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are, but there's still a little part of me inside that just wants to see them make something bad and crash and burn in VR, because they have talked so much crap and been against it for so long that I just hate to see them now come in and profit when they've been like, oh, this is just a fad. Like, no. But hey, it's good for VR. I'm going to suck it up and deal with it, but it's a little frustrating.
Yeah, but with all this news, boundary systems and VR startups, I think, the Apple headset is coming. The only question now is when.
And I think we're done with it. Nope, wait. See, I know like it's not as big a deal to you guys, but like it's annoying when I like make gestures with my hands and I don't see anything. I'm like, what's
And they're
wrong?
just stuck.
Yeah, that's why it's like so
Are they
mine
under
disruptive
your
to me.
table?
hand
Are they
keeps
under
glitching
your
out.
table?
No, it's just because I'm like constantly like keeping track of the script and all that. I'm constantly using my mouse and I forget that I do that, and then they stop working.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah, it's great. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
On to the games.
Onto the games. So, again, this week's game segment is brought to you by Asterion. We were talking about them early in the podcast. We're going to talk about them again real quick because we just love this darn thing. So, we are perfectly happy to do this. The Aura VR stand, guys, it's great. Just go buy it. That's all.
Boom, done.
Boom, done.
Boom, short and sweet.
I kid. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more. So, this thing is a clean, minimalist, modern VR stand. It works with any VR headset, so it'll work with your Quests. It'll even work with your weird PlayStations. It'll work with your PC. I mean, to be honest, the PC ones are usually the weird ones. PlayStation has a pretty solid headset, like, visual-wise. So
Your Google Cardboard fits on this thing. People,
yeah,
okay?
yeah, it does. It does. It would, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything fits on this thing. It's super good looking. Just look up a picture of this thing, guys. Or a VR stand. You'll be sold just right there. I guarantee it with like 60% accuracy. So check this thing out, guys. Go to AsterionProducts.com and use the code FULLDIVE, and you will get $5 off your order, $19.99 or more. It's pretty great. I would do it if I were listening to this podcast. I'm trying to
Would
reach
do
my
it if I
mouse.
didn't already own 2.
Yeah.
I can't make 2 because my hand gestures are messed up. But oh, there it is, 2. I already own 2. Destiny owns
right?
2. Yeah, that's how much
I
we
can-
believe in them.
I keep losing my left hand. There we go. Yeah.
I'm always pleased to see the stream chat just loves when we talk about Asterion. They're like, they just get like, we've got like a bunch of people just kind of yelling Asterion and then talking about the code and yeah.
Can we just make like an Asterion emote? Does YouTube
Right.
support that, like custom emotes? I know Twitch does.
I don't know.
Once you have members, yes. Once you're monetized.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sad, honestly, when the day comes that we've like got a different sponsor or something else to talk about, because like Asterion is a product that we all own and like love so much, and like the company's awesome. They're super cool
Right.
to deal with. That like I feel like there's gonna be some other company we're gonna be like, and check out this other company now. Like,
These guys.
let's just
Yeah.
make Asterion our exclusive sponsor for all time.
I mean, I'd like to say we are going to keep a
Forever.
policy that if we're going to be talking about something on this podcast and sponsoring it, it's going to be worth it. It's not going to be like I will not in good conscience recommend a bad product. So you
Yeah,
can
so
always
don't try and sponsor us, or PlayStation.
yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Don't touch me. Get your virtual hand off me. Okay, we got to get into games here. So, who remembers the game Mortal Blitz that came out in the early days of VR?
Not at all.
Anyone? Anyone?
No,
So,
I've never even heard of it.
Same.
Mortal Blitz was one of those games that was actually really cool. It didn't age super well though, because I mean, it was teleportation. There was some like telefragging sort of stuff. It was cool, but it's an older game now. Mortal Blitz Combat Arena is a game that is not out yet, but it just had a open beta on PSVR, although it is coming to all headsets. They just started with PSVR for now. Now, you remember we talked about Tower Tag on the podcast a while back, a game that I kind of tore to pieces. Well, imagine a better version of Tower Tag that's still not great, but is better. It's a combat arena game. You're in with up to 4 people. There's no teams, though. You're all separate. You teleport from pad to pad. They have these walls on the pad that you can see through, but they're like physical walls you can duck and dodge behind. But if people shoot the pad enough, it'll break open parts of it, and they can shoot through and get you. You teleport around, you grab different guns, you shoot at each other from these teleportation points while you're trying to physically dodge and duck. And then this rampage weapon spawns every minute and a half or something. It's the ultimate weapon. You grab it, you shoot someone, their whole fortress blows up. So like you can be totally lagging, get this gun and win the match. It's in beta.
Nice.
It's not done yet. It needs some leveling. It needs some work.
Mhm.
But it for free, it's okay. If they make it free, if they launch it free and people can, it's free to play, it would be an okay game to go and have fun with your friends. It's got like crates that you get your legendary weapons and stuff. It's got different skins you can put on. It's just one of those arena games. It's cool, but it's nothing that I'm like, oh my gosh, it was fun enough for like an hour or two, but I feel like the actual game, unless they change it a lot, it's gonna kind of be the same. Anybody see any footage on this or anything?
Nope.
No.
No,
Well, I
never
feel like
heard
I
of it.
pretty much summed it up there. Pretty
Yeah.
much. There'll be more buzz as they start to get closer to the launch and they talk about the PC and more. But really, it's cool, but it's nothing revolutionary to VR.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. Not surprising,
if it's
but not unfortunate.
If it's free to play, we'll all get in and play it together, maybe.
Yeah,
and
if it's
have
free
a good
to play,
time.
why not?
Yeah, but I don't know if
Right,
it is. If
yeah.
it costs, personally, I'm not gonna buy it. So I'm
Mhm.
sorry to say it.
Yeah,
if
to
it costs
cost,
anything.
like I think VR. No, because I mean they definitely just need more games out right now that have more of that replayability.
Absolutely. Yeah, you need games that people just. I mean, MMOs did a huge thing in making VR or not VR, just gaming popular. Like WoW was huge in terms of the industry. We kind of need some stuff like that, and Orbis VR sure ain't it.
No, neither is Mortal
No.
Blitz Combat Arena. But if it's free, I'd say get it, play it with your friends for one night. You'll probably delete it after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, free, delete it.
All right, Adam and Jay, you guys played Wildlands 2. What is
Windlands.
also Windlands? I have not
Windlands.
heard of this either.
Windlands.
Tell us
Oh my
about
You
it.
haven't heard of
gosh.
Windlands 2?
Yeah.
You haven't heard of Windlands
No.
1. Okay, 2 I can
No.
understand, but you don't even know Windlands 1? Okay, you know what it is,
Mm-mm.
Adam?
I'll Google it.
We're VR OGs here.
I'll Google
Ah,
it.
that's what it
They
is.
just came to VR recently. So
Yeah, the new kids on the block.
tell us about Windlands 2.
Hey, it's
I've
been a
only played
year.
1. I've only played 1. So tell me about 2.
So Windlands 2, so the premise of Windlands is that that you are what's called a hunter, and you go around this sort of it's almost post-apocalyptic, but almost not. It's like a different planet
Ooh.
post-apocalyptic. But you have these grappling hooks that you swing through the environment with, and you get a bow that you shoot at robots. And it's pretty it's one of those weird games where the better I've gotten at the game, the more fun it's become. Like, I would totally recommend this game if you don't suck at Windlands 2. Like, no, for real though. Like, there is so much more to the game the better you get at the game, where I've actually had to put down the game and just kind of wait on it for like 2-3 months, come back, start the game over, and it just becomes so much more enjoyable again. Because it's hard. It is a hard game because you're constantly swinging around. It is the closest I've ever come to a Spider-Man game. I don't know if Windlands 1 you got this feeling, but it really feels like Spider-Man. You're going around swinging through trees and you just are trying to keep your momentum and just are thinking constantly, if I grapple onto this tree, I can swing it around and then in the air, pull out your bow and nail a robot passing by. Oh, some of the coolest experiences ever. And then the ending is just terrible.
Oh.
Well, it's the ending. I think I'm just not good enough to appreciate the ending. If I was better at the game, maybe the ending would be just the culmination of the entire game. But as it stands, I'm not sure if I'm good enough at the game to enjoy the last half of the game.
Well, and you didn't play 1, correct?
I didn't play 1, no.
So 1 was a true Spider-Man simulator. There was no combat.
Really?
It was just like a parkour / Spider-Man. You were trying to traverse these crazy huge environments and get all the collectibles in them and then move on to further the story. It really felt kind of tech demo-y, but it was amazing. So it didn't matter that it was tech demo-y. You were flying around these things. Destiny, I do not recommend this game for you. It's amazing, but if you have
Yeah.
any motion sickness at all, people,
Ooh.
wait on this game. It is intense. But if you are like me, you don't really get motion sick and you want to feel something crazy, Windlands 1 was amazing. But Windlands 2 is supposed to be a more fleshed out game with a bit more plot line, with some combat. The whole thing is co-opable. Did you know that?
Yes, it is. And so if anyone else wants to pick up Windlands, I would love to play it with you.
I've been meaning to for a long time. I'm waiting for like the person who's going to get Windlands 2 to play it with me. Not even still. I've been waiting for like the partner because 1 was such an amazing experience for me that I've just been waiting. And like, I don't know if it has this in number 2, but in number 1, there was like the beginner hooks that you would use, and then you could switch to what was called the advanced rope. So like the beginner hooks, you shot a point and it automatically zoomed you towards it. The advanced rope, you shot the point and then you could choose when you wanted to pull towards it with another
Oh,
button. So this
no.
was really like Spider-Man.
So this sort of has a mix. It has like a sort of a mix where you shoot at it and it'll slightly pull you towards it, but also swing you at the same time.
Mhm.
And
So
so there's a
that's- yeah.
lot of strategy where, you know, whenever you hook, you're going to start swinging around it. And so if you're good enough, you can hook 2 points at the same time and just go straight towards it, super crazy speed. But I'm surprised that the first one didn't have combat because that really made the second game and made you feel incredible. Because there's a couple of boss fights. The boss fights in particular are amazing, where you can't touch the ground. There's just nowhere to touch the ground. But you also can't hang on the leverage points because they're spiky and they'll kill you if you try and hang on them for too long. So you have to constantly be swinging around these points, pulling out your bow and shooting at the boss while you're swinging around. It is some of the most fun I've ever had in a game, in a VR game. I feel very comfortable saying that. It's hard though. Definitely, if you're not good at Windlands 2 though, it can be a punishing. I'm not going to say punishing, but there's like a safe way to play Windlands, and it's just not enjoyable. And the better you get at the game, the more depth you can find in Windlands, and the better it gets.
Sounds kind of like the original, except for the combat. But the original, like, you got good at like the original, and then you wanted to try the advanced rope. You wanted to try it harder and push it harder and see what it was like. But I'm excited to play. How does this strike you two? Does this sound cool? Does this sound crappy? What do you think?
Well, I admittedly have been totally tuned out because Firefox just crashed on me during all that, which meant I lost my script and, more importantly, I lost the audio recording. So I need one of you two, at least, to check real quick, is Zencastr still going for you?
Yeah, it's still going, and it says you're still on it.
Yeah, I just restarted it, and it says it's recording for me, but it's at 1 minute and 3 seconds. I'm assuming yours is at the proper time.
55 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna have to hope that it still has my earlier portion, but it seems to be okay.
I've got your audio on mine. And
right.
Stuff,
yeah.
So there will be a way.
There's always we have redundancies, but I wanted to make sure that I wanted to at least see that it was still working on your guys' end. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still working.
Okay, but Jay or Rip, sorry Jay, Rip. Basically, it's a Spider-Man game that's not Spider-Man. Windlands 1 is all about movement. Windlands 2 has the movement, but you also get a bow and can shoot at bosses. Basically, if you suck at VR, don't play this.
Is it the one that has kind of like a cel-shaded look to it?
It looks kind of cel-shaded.
Okay, I might have seen this.
Cel-shaded.
I might have seen this. Does it look like you have big plungers for hands?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, I have seen this game. I just forgot the name for it.
And this is all single player, right? Like
it's
number two. Number 2 is co-op. Yeah.
So then y'all play together? Or...
I haven't played 2 at all. No, he's played 2. I played a lot of number 1 though. Played a lot of number 1.
Yeah, so if you pick it up, if anyone decides to pick it up, I would totally play with you. However, if you are prone to motion sickness, this is perhaps the worst game for motion sickness I've ever played.
All right.
Because you are swinging through this environment at such speed and launching yourself, hundreds of feet in the air. If you have motion sick, you're not going to have a good time.
You'll have a good time until you get sick, because it is amazing. But then you're going to get really sick.
Yeah.
Well, even like climbing, grappling in general can make you feel a little bit weird, or especially if you're like going sideways, because I've done it on a small level in that Nat Geo game that I was telling y'all about. Like you have to use these like ice picks and these grapples to like climb and like go up this mountain, but then you can also do like more of an expert mode. See, my left hand just keeps like doing some funky things, but anyways, and then you like swing yourself like sideways through these caves, and going up it's not so bad, but yeah, once you start like actually swinging and trying to like grab like far away ones, it definitely can make you feel a little bit nauseous.
It was like, whoa. Well, if you're not gonna get motion sick, Windlands 1 or 2 sounds like it's a recommend from us. I think Rip's still figuring out his life, so we'll move on. Destiny, what did you do in VR this week?
I've mainly been checking out these little short films, and one of the things I love about the short films is for like and basically for people who have Quest or who have PC VR headsets, they can both do this. But like a lot of them are free. Like if you check out like little demos and things, the main one that I was checking out is like an Edgar Allan Poe. I think it's called the Raven VR, but it's like a audio adaptation, and it's really cool. Like so, you start out in this like really cute little, kind of like not really scary, but just this like little chill room. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with that poem, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really cool. I mean, I don't know. So basically, it just has like this dude who has a really good audio voice, actually, and he's just like narrating the whole poem. And this little bird, like I guess technically the raven, like flies into the room. And so it's definitely not for people who are. See, I'm like my left hand is driving me nuts. It keeps
Not
like
you
flying
too.
away.
Not you too.
Uh, anyways, like so for people, like I said, if you're wanting to check out something free, something very chill, like you don't want anything like crazy, like hyper for a night, definitely check it out. And there's another one, oh, Lost. I don't know if y'all have seen that one, but that one is really cute too. It's about this like giant robot. I can't explain it. It's just really cool visually.
I think that one might be an Oculus exclusive. I could be wrong, but just be
Is
aware. I
it?
think that one might be Oculus only. And also, audience, always remember when Destiny says, "Oh, it's just cute and nice and not scary." She's like a horror buff. I watched The Raven back in the day. I remember thinking it was kind of creepy. Like it wasn't
Really?
it wasn't outright terror, but I remember the paintings were changing and stuff, and there was some creepy elements. You're like in this dark little cabin. You're in this cute little house. You're in
I
this cabin in the
cute.
woods.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like it is Edgar Allan Poe, so you do have to
Yeah.
assume that it's gonna be a little bit dark, but it's cool. Like just check it out. It's free.
It is free. It's cool, but yeah, it might be a little more spooky than you're expecting from her description. Yeah, there's tons of these. I'm sure most of us have probably watched them here, but like The Crow, I don't think that one was free, but that one was like some serious production value. John Legend was the main person in that. Oprah was in it. Invasion was a free one. Ethan Hawke was the narrator of that one. Tons of these, and they're really cool in VR. Like you might be sleeping on these thinking, oh, they're just short films or short films. There's a lot of production value that goes in some of these, and they are really entertaining to check out. And they're also really good if you're showing VR to someone else to put them in these because
Yeah.
they're amazing, but you don't have to do anything. They can just enjoy the experience. So yeah, I love short films in VR. I would like
Yeah.
to see a full length one,
Mhm.
honestly.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I think that's the thing. So many people think of like, either business training or gaming for VR. But yeah, honestly, to me, that's one of the funnest parts of VR is just the little like short films. Like the visualizations are amazing. It's just fun.
Mm-hmm. When I was studying at USC, there was a VR club there, of sorts. It wasn't like a club, but it was something along those lines. And it had a lot of people making VR short films, and it was super cool to see the stuff they were making. Usually,
Nice.
it wasn't like live footage sort of VR where it's like 3D, like like a typical 3D movie experience. It was more like someone
Mhm.
created a movie in like Blender or something.
Hmm.
For those that know what that
That's so
means.
cool.
Yeah, these are always really cool. We need more of them.
Have you done any, Adam?
I have not. So this is
Ooh.
an entirely new piece of news to me. I might have to go check some of them
Really?
out. Yeah, I haven't even heard
Yeah,
of
I
them.
mean, there's like tons.
They're
And
harder to
like I said,
find on
they're
Steam, I
especially.
feel like, is the problem. Because, like, on
Oh.
Yeah,
PlayStation,
true.
they're
That
really
might be
prominent,
it.
and on Oculus,
Mm.
they're more prominent. They're there. You just
Mhm.
have to actually look for them because they're not necessarily
Yeah.
games. So
Right.
I would definitely recommend find a few, check them out.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
go take a look.
Mm-hmm.
You just like kick back, relax, and watch them.
Yeah. All right, Rip, what do you got for us this week?
So, some of you may have heard from our last news piece. I don't know where else you would have heard this. Beat Saber got some new DLC, Linkin Park DLC. Now, when I heard this, I was like, I gotta try this. I don't even care if it's gonna cost me money, and I can get perfectly fine Linkin Park songs through the community. I want to see this darn songs, and I did. So I coughed up the 14 whatever dollars that were required to get this, which I even now still think is a little steep. Like I would have liked to pay $10, or even like 5 would have been amazing. 10 would have been like, I don't know, if I had no other options. And 15 was more like, okay, I'm on a VR podcast. I have an moral excuse to spend a little bit more money on these things. But if I wasn't on this podcast, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. That said, it is fun. Jay also got it. So you also bought this DLC?
I did. I bought this. I streamed it. The stream immediately got blocked after it went up
Oh,
because that's what happens when you
Yep.
stream these kinds of songs. Did you play through the whole thing in one shot? How did you do it?
the VR chat or the stream keeps guessing what we're gonna talk about, and they.
Are they coming up with better ideas than us? Because maybe we should insert some.
No, did our script leak?
Yeah, no, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, So sorry, you asked a question, and I just like was blown away by someone guessing that we were gonna talk about Linkin Park.
Well, I played the entire thing once on Expert Plus on the stream, and I noticed in playing it, I was like, these feel a little harder than the normal songs made by Beat Saber. And I got through all but one. I failed one, and I just didn't have the time or energy to keep going. But I was thinking the whole time, I was like, is it just me? Am I out of practice, or are these a little harder? People have said now on Reddit, it's just basically there's unusual patterns that aren't normally used in a lot of the songs, is what it seems like. But they do feel harder to everyone. So what did you think when you were playing them?
What difficulty were you playing it on?
Expert Plus.
Expert Plus, and you still got through
The
them?
only difficulty.
Yeah.
Okay, Jay's definitely way better at Beat Saber than I am. We'll start with that. Because
Same.
I only beat one song on Expert and was just going all day at the rest of them trying to beat a gosh darn Expert song, let alone Expert Plus. So yeah, it was hard. Was it?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess as someone who finds that a lot of the regular, like the come with the game Beat Saber songs have always been pretty darn hard. Like when you download a lot of the community songs, oftentimes their versions of like Expert and Expert Plus are to regular Beat Saber songs more like hard and Expert. Because I mean, there's some insanely hard Expert Plus songs that come with the game. And I more or less felt the same way with this. Like Expert was like, I'm good enough that I felt like I was like this close to beating them, sort of a deal. If I'd kept at it, I probably would have started to do it. I was also very out of practice. And, that's just my excuse for myself, really, though. So it was hard. It didn't feel like harder, I don't think. I mean, I guess I usually have an easier time with the Expert songs, but I guess I thought I was out of practice.
So you weren't the only one, because everyone went to Reddit and was like, why do these seem so hard? Why am I struggling on Expert when usually I play a little bit of Expert Plus? Well, these were harder than normal. And I totally agree. And I can tell you for sure this is true now, because I play on my Quest now, usually Expert, not Expert Plus. The tracking just isn't quite there. Sorry, Destiny, but the Quest is hard on Expert Plus because of the tracking. So I play Expert on the Quest for exercise, and I play intense hard songs on my PC for when I'm actually trying to go hard. Well, I played through all of the Linkin Park songs on Expert, and I was like, those seemed hard. So I went back and I played just a few OST1 songs on Expert, and like they were so easy in comparison. It felt like going back to hard after you've been playing Expert. These songs, they had these really unusual patterns where like you'd have two upswings, but they were diagonal with the sabers over here and then over here, and it was just these weird things for Expert that just were not normal for Beat Saber made Expert songs. So if you're not going to, I know you're probably only do customs, but if either of you were to get this pack, don't feel bad if you have to go back to Expert or back to hard, basically a difficulty lower than normal, because they are unusually more difficult.
Bold of you for assuming I can get past medium.
I know, same. Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, I actually suck at Beat Saber. I'm decent, but yeah, nowhere near your level.
I mean, it's just practice. I've brought, I wasn't like that talented at it. I when I first got it, I was playing VR with like everyone I can invite, so I had a lot of people over, and I was generally like the worst person in the room in terms of everyone, like how their starting level was. You could kind of compare. My brother, who's a goddamn prodigy at games, will just like he was ready for like Expert Plus the moment he began.
Oh my God.
Not quite that intense, but like along those levels where like I'll be practicing for a week and he comes and does it first try.
It's like so easy.
So I was not like talented at the game. I could tell that by being around these talented people. But really just, you put in the effort, and that's the great thing about Beat Saber is you learn the patterns, you learn the rhythms, and you can see some serious improvement by just putting in the time. And that's like, it's so gratifying. Gratifying? Jesus.
That's a good word. That's a good
Choose-
word for it. It's really gratifying.
Gratifying. Yeah, I'm going to start using the IRL.
Oh, it's like people who say frustrated. I hate that. It's not flustered or frustrated. Frustrated. What is this merge? Let's not go off on another
Or
tangent
ginormous.
here,
Nice
though.
one too, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a great DLC. So if you're out there, especially if you're
Yeah,
PlayStation VR, or
it's a
you're
lot
a
of
Quest
fun.
person who doesn't want a side quest just because you don't want to, I would say the $14. It is a bit spendy. It's 11 songs, and it spans all the way
Ooh.
back to Hybrid Theory album to
Yeah.
some of their new stuff. So you
Yeah.
get a taste of everything.
It had every song I was looking for.
That's cool.
Ooh, I like that. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I wanted this one." I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got an opinion and discussion section here. It's a little different. This was something that I kind of added because it just seems like we're at the point where people are starting to forget about all these lies that they've been telling for years about VR. So is VR finally approachable? Is it something that everyone can get into? And so to kind of give us some points to argue here. So like the things that people still, I hear say about it and still see online, people either say, they always have one or two things they always say. It's a gimmick, or it's expensive, it looks dorky, it's uncomfortable, there's no AAA games, or now they're saying there's not enough AAA games, or it's not fun, or it's antisocial. So you guys are all VR enthusiasts, but most of you haven't been as crazy about it for as long as I have. So I want to hear some of your perspectives. Like, were you ever kind of a hater? Did the tide turn for you? What do you think? And are we there? Is it approachable? What do you guys think?
Well, as much as
always been interested.
yeah, as much as I want to hate on Facebook for all the work they're doing in VR right now, at least a year or within the last like 2 or 3 years, they've been doing some pretty great stuff. And that is they've kind of single-handedly made VR approachable with the Quest and with the Rift S, where now people who have a PC have a very affordable headset to match with their PC, and people that don't have a PC now have this amazing standalone Oculus Quest. And between those two things, I mean, guys, I've said this before, but the numbers on their sales are off the charts, especially with Oculus Quest. So clearly, it must be approachable enough to be bought like crazy. The numbers don't lie.
But that's like the Quest though isn't coming in with like the super high fidelity VR though, and so we really have to sort of break this up into two questions almost, where VR is becoming approachable maybe at the Quest tier, but still at the super high fidelity tier where you need a gaming PC and a really good headset like the Index. It's really not approachable. It's meets all of the other categories that you're talking about, Jay, but it's still expensive. It is an expensive hobby. I had my cousin over and he was a VR hater.
Yeah.
Until he tried on the headset and he said, and then all my concerns just went away. And then when he told me how much it was, it came back again.
Natalie argues that PlayStation was the first one to make VR approachable. I guess you're not wrong, Natalie. The PlayStation VR did sell really well. It didn't sell Oculus Quest well, but it did sell really well. And it's Oculus Quest finally like the problem was it still had that stigma due to its specs of like it's good, but that's all it is. It is just good. Just good enough, basically. And the Oculus Quest was sort of, I guess it got on people's radar enough, where the thing was, when Oculus Quest came out, it wasn't just the Oculus Quest that had big sales. Everything, every VR headset suddenly had a huge boost in sales once the Oculus Quest came out. So, correlation versus causation, I don't know, but that is how that went.
The
Sorry.
Quest just changed things because the PSVR, I mean, it had sold, I think it had hit 5 million before the Quest. So it had done really well, but only because you didn't need the PC and everyone already owned a PS4. The Quest really changed the game because you don't need either, and you don't have wires. You don't
just
have
need
wires.
the Quest, yeah.
And that's what's like, because like people I've shown so many systems to and so much VR, they always say, well, is there a wireless one? That was always a big question. And then like, oh, do I have to have a strong PC?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those, getting rid of those two things, even though it is lower fidelity, I think the Quest has really made VR approachable to everyone. Is it finally there? I mean, I'm kind of probably the wrong person to ask that though, because I'm kind of a harsh critic because I'm so used to VR in general that when I go play on my Quest, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of shortcomings in this headset. Where other people who aren't like that play it and they think it's spectacular. So
Right. Yeah, when you
I
haven't played
think-
VR, it's great.
Yeah. When you haven't played Beat Saber on a PC with decent tracking, and I'm not calling the Rift S. The Rift S is decent, it's okay. But I used to play on a CV1, and when you play Beat Saber on that, and you try and play a Quest, it's like, ouch.
Right.
The tracking
Exactly.
is
Now,
rough.
for real, we're talking about native Quest here, not PC linked Quest.
Yeah.
For real,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
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 And so like, is it a gimmick? I think we've proven that wrong. Like, it's
Right.
here to stay. Apple's getting into it. That means it's not a
Yeah.
gimmick anymore. Is
Yeah,
it too
yeah, that's true.
expensive? Well, that's where you were kind of hitting on. It depends on
Yeah.
which one you want.
Right.
I think $400 for a Quest is totally approachable for most gamers.
Absolutely.
That doesn't seem crazy.
Right, but if you're looking at index level, you're talking $1,000 gaming PC and then $1,000 for the index set. Like
Mhm.
you're already looking at $2,000 to get into it. That's kind of expensive just starting
Right.
out for a hobby.
The problem
Yeah,
is that
that's
we've
usually,
still
like,
got
for the people who already have the Quest and then they get into that, they'll bump up to like the index.
right, and that's a bit of the problem right
Sorry.
now. Oh, Destiny hopping out of her chair. That's okay. I was doing that earlier too. A bit of the problem with it right now, and it looks like the HP Reverb G2 is going to try and hit this. You've got this huge jump where you go from like the nice cheap like mixed reality headsets, the Oculus series, and then you go like add another $500 and you get to the next line of headsets where you have like the Index and the Vive and all those. Did I get that right? Yeah. And so we're starting to see some middle ground, which really gives people options in terms of like, okay, this is my budget. Like before it was, okay, I've got a budget of like $700, which is still a lot of money, but that's not $1,000, which means you have to spend just the 400 to get, I mean, what's still a pretty darn good, I'm in a Rift S right now and I love it. So you're still getting a great experience with the Rift S or the Quest, but we could use both the competition and the different levels of complexity in these VR headsets. Like if you want to buy a laptop right now, you have just an insane amount of options.
Too many.
Yeah.
Whether the VR is going to be like that, where you have all these different headsets that like every company is trying to outdo the other one, or if it's going to go the route of like consoles where you've got like just the big competitors going at it every year, the time will tell. But it's approachable. I think for the like in terms of all those points, Jay was nice enough to put them in a neat little list here. Like it's not a gimmick. I would argue that $400 is easily the price of this equipment I have on my head right now. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, true.
I think the only point there, the dorky one, is probably the only one we can't really dispel. Because for people who think, oh, I'm gonna look stupid with it on. Well, you're gonna have so much fun, you're not gonna care.
Mhm.
But there still is no
Exactly.
headset that I would wear to a costume party just because I thought it looked gorgeous.
Right.
Right.
They do need some fashion work, but it doesn't matter when you're inside. You can't see it.
And there's only so much you can do. Like you're just not gonna be able to make that kind of equipment, like look super fashionable in your head, like you said. I mean,
Yeah.
You just gotta be
Google Glass
realistic.
didn't look fashionable either, and that was like the smallest, most micro version of anything you could do, and it looked terrible. So
Mhm.
forget about
Yeah,
the
the only thing-
dorkiness.
yeah, the only thing you can do to try to like class it up is like, have you seen the people that get like the stickers or whatever you can put on the front? That's
Yeah.
about as much as you can do.
Right.
Change the
Yeah.
strap color or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Customize it, make it your own.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to say the one thing that I think people are kind of right about. I mean, the dorky is true as well, but the lack of AAA titles. Now, obviously, to us here, we're gonna say we've got titles in VR that are absolutely like. I think there's enough titles for me to have justified this purchase. There's a lot of really great games out there, but you know what? Some people, they don't have that kind of money. They want to buy their $400 console, and when someone buys a PlayStation or an Xbox, they just know that they have an insane library to choose from. They have every game's going to come out for their system. there's, I mean, short of like the couple exclusives, there's going to be an overwhelming amount of just like content games. You have these big games like Call of Duty and I don't know, I'm playing Assassin's Creed right now, so that comes to mind. Assassin's Creed, Witcher. You've got all these huge titles, and no matter how good VR is, nothing compares to like the breadth of a game like The Witcher 3 or I don't know, Battlefield, or like these huge games with like just hundreds of millions of dollars poured into it. Yeah, we're not there. There's no
took us VR though.
Took us what 40 years of flat gaming to get there.
Right.
You're being a little harsh if that's the reason to not get into VR yet. But you are right. Like, but it just bugged me because people always said there's no AAAs, there's no AAAs. Now people say there's not enough AAAs.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
they'll always find a reason.
Yeah. The haters will hate.
Mm-hmm. But I definitely, I have personally met those sorts of people where like, look, I've only got like this much money to spend, and it's pretty much, do I get the Oculus Quest or do I get the new, like, you know, these people are thinking ahead right now. Do I want to save up and get that VR system I wanted, or do I want to get the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X that's just around the corner? And for a lot of those people, that's going to be the Xbox Series X or just one of those consoles.
Well, and it's also a bad way that they don't know that they're looking at it, because the Quest, as amazing of a headset as it is, it really doesn't have any AAA titles because it can't handle them.
Right.
So like they don't have the PC. So like that's also a problem. If you go get a Quest right now and you want to play some 20-hour game in it, there's not going to be one. So I think we're ready for Facebook Connect to see what the next Quest is bringing and if it's changing this. The Quest has made it approachable, but yeah, you're definitely still, especially on a Quest, there's not really any big, huge titles you're going to be spending a ton of time playing on just Quest without a PC.
Right.
But we'll see. I think the general consensus is that we're real close. We are real close.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're maybe not quite there, but we're close.
We're definitely at the point now where unless you're really strapped for cash, you don't have to be that comfortable to decide you can afford VR now, which is very, very good to see.
Yeah.
Turn of the tide.
And with that, we will end the discussion section. I forgot to mention when we did the Q&A, we are live streaming. This live stream will continue to be live streaming once I press that stop recording button right there. So if you want to be part of our after hours, join the streams, guys. The moment the live stream is done, it goes private. If you want to see this thing, you either need to be news for our patrons. We're going to be uploading the after hours clips to our patron members. So you won't miss it if you're a patron member, but if you are not, this thing goes to, well, I guess it's technically, I'm not going to say the details, but basically it goes private. So if you want to know about this, join our Discord server. We post everything there, and we will announce when we are live streaming. We will, that is where our great communities ask us these amazing questions for the Q&A section. There's all sorts of exciting things there. Go join that. It's in the show notes. It's in the YouTube description. If you're new here, some exciting stuff happens in the Discord server, guys. Go ahead and join. And I'd mention the Patreon briefly, but for those that aren't aware, you get early podcasts on that thing. As soon as I'm done editing this podcast, it's going on Patreon. So if you want access to it, and it's in stereo, which means you get like an awesome version of the intro and outro songs, and I do a little bit of panning so everyone sounds like they're like not just right in front of you. It's cool stuff. I try to like spice it up a little bit for the patrons. Check that out, guys. That's $5 a month. And again, if you are listening, consider watching. If you're watching, consider listening. Both are great options. And, you know, if you're driving...
In fact, do both.
Yeah, do both. Why not?
At the same time.
I put it on YouTube and I mute it, and I put it on Spotify and listen there. You know. Why not? That's not true.
Yeah, they... the YouTube, like the perfect experience, I guess, would be to be watching the YouTube video, listening to the patron version of the podcast, so that everything's panned. But,
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
That would be fancy.
Just gotta sync it right. It's always
Yeah.
impossible to sync it anyway, but that's technical details, and we gotta wrap this up. Thanks for listening, guys. We will catch you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye.